Hello friends, my name is Shayla and today I am here with a recommendation video for you. I have recently been spending more time in the romance reader community. I recently joined the romance Discord server because I do read a lot of romance and I wanted to connect with that community, and they have welcomed me with open arms. They've all been lovely, but they all know that I read manga because I'm typically filming in front of my manga shelves. And so I've been getting some questions about manga, recommendations, all that kind of stuff. So I thought I would take today's video and talk to you guys about some manga that I think would be really fun for romance readers. These will be all romance based, and they will also all be geared towards adults. There's not a single thing in this stack, as far as I'm aware, that is geared towards a younger audience. These are all adults in consenting relationships, and that's just how this is gonna go. So let's dive in. We have one that's pretty popular and a lot of people have heard of, but if you haven't been in the manga space, you probably haven't heard of it, and that is Everyone's Getting Married. Everyone's Getting Married is about two adults who think very differently about life entering a romantic relationship. So we have Asuka, and Asuka, she works really hard at her job, but one day she wants to retire and just be a housewife, and that's what she strives for. She thinks that will make her the happiest in life. And then we have Ryu. I wanted to make sure I got his name right. And Ryu is this famous newscaster, you know, very much in the center, in the spotlight, and he has no inclination to ever get married. So within this, these two engage in a romantic relationship. So it's about them, romantic relationship, and it's about them figuring out life together and what their relationship looks like to them, to everyone else, and what they really want out of life. And this spans over years. It's a 9-volume series. It is complete, and it was just a lot of fun. I really enjoyed this, and they too easily forgive each other, and sometimes things don't feel fully resolved because, you know, they just have makeup sex and that's that. That's just kind of how this series is gonna work. So I think it's interesting, and the ending felt a little rushed to me. I wish they would have had one more volume to kind of flush that out a little bit, but it was still really fun, and I would still recommend it for others to try. This one is going to be Spell of Desire. This is a witch-centered story in which we have a beautiful woman who's been hiding the fact that she's a witch. And so she dresses all kind of drabby and tries to hide it. And then this beautiful man shows up and helps her try to control her power by kissing her. And basically when they engage in like a physical romantic sense, like kissing, hugging, that kind of stuff, she's able to rein in her magical power. And there's a reason for that. I'm not going to spoil the series. This was one of our Thirsty Thursday picks early on in the year, and I think it was our first one. Yeah, it was our first one. And the mangaka on that one is Tomu Omi, and I absolutely love this. It's 5 volumes complete. Absolutely love it. If you're looking for kind of a witchy paranormal, this is a great one. Next, this one is just a smutty, filthy time, and it's a lot of fun. There's only 1 volume out so far, but it's still one of my favorites, so it has to be in this list, and that is Fire in His Fingertips. Fire in His Fingertips is a childhood friends to lovers style romance featuring a office working woman and a firefighter. So they're friends. She sets him up for like group dates all the time, but he doesn't ever commit to anybody. He's kind of a playboy. There's a reason for that, I think, but anyways, from there, that evening after one of their outings with her friends, her apartment complex catches on fire. And so he told her certain things like, make noise if you're in a fire. And so she starts making noise, and then all of a sudden she stopped. And he's the one that rescues her. And then, you know, she doesn't have anywhere to stay. So he's like, well, come stay at my place. And things go from there. It's really fun. Super duper smutty. Filthy smutty. Consent's kind of murky, but in Japanese culture, that's pretty common because women aren't supposed to want sex. So that is something you'll kind of run into sometimes, especially in a filthier title like this one. But honestly, I still really love this, and the art is beautiful, so I would recommend checking it out. I'm just warning you of everything. I don't want anybody going in and thinking I duped them, so I like to tell you those things. So this is one that's contained just in the 1 volume. It's the full story. There is there is a sequel, I guess, to this one, but you don't have to read the sequel. It's still contained pretty well within this first one. And that is Angel by Erika Sakurazawa. I really love Sakurazawa's work. This is kind of like a short story collection of a few different little romantic instances, and it's beautiful, and I really enjoy it. These don't always have the happiest of endings, anything by Erika Sakurazawa. They do really look deeply at romantic relationships, the good, the bad, and the ugly of them. So Erika Sakurazawa as a mangaka I'm going to recommend, but this is the most popular title from her, and that's probably because it's the most satisfying ending, I think. The others are very open-ended and usually not the happiest, is all I'll say. But I do think this is really great. I really enjoy Erika Sakurazawa. I've read all 5 or 6. There is a bundle on Right Stuff. I'll leave a link to that down below, where if it's still available. And you can get like a sampling of her work. She usually just does 1-volume stories. So if you want something a little more contained and not so long running, that's a good option. Another one where I've just read the first volume, I don't think the second volume's out quite yet, and that is How Do We Relationship by Tamiful. This is a female-female romance taking place in college. So we have 2 girls who end up becoming friends through class, I believe. I don't think they're roommates. But they kind of have this whole group of friends together. I think it's their, like, club. Yeah, it's their club. Anyways, so Miwa, she's really shy, and, you know, she wasn't fully out in high school, but she's still kind of in the closet, I guess. And then we have Seiko, and Seiko's fully out and is very interested in Miwa, and it's about their relationship, and it's actually really cute and really sweet so far. I'm really excited for volume 2. Next is another one that's contained just in 1 volume, and that is Don't Call Me Dirty. So this one's by Goro Kanbei. I've been talking about this a lot on my channel recently. This is about Shoji. Shoji's been attempting a long-distance relationship for a while with a guy, but he was one of those who wasn't really sure he was gay, and he's decided he's not. And so Shoji's really sad, and he helps his neighbor across the street sometimes. He's an elderly gentleman, and so he helps him run his store sometimes. And one day when he's helping him, this homeless man comes in with some change. He's like, hey, I'd like to buy something. And Shoji helps him get it all figured out, but he refuses to cross the threshold of the business because he's not sure how people will accept him because he's homeless and he isn't showered and things like that. And this becomes this exploration of what it means to be homosexual and how Shoji feels dirty for being gay, and how Hama is what he's called, feels about physically being dirty. And it's really sweet. I love this so much. I really do, and I can't recommend this enough. There is a spin-off sequel following 2 characters that you meet in here called Don't Call Me Daddy, and that one is also really good, but this is the one I'm going to recommend because I think it's best to read this before you read that, so read this one. Next is an autobiographical piece, and that is Secretly I've Been Suffering About Being Sexless by Togame. So this is about Togame, who had a period in her marriage where they weren't really having sex. And it was about them kind of figuring out things, working through it. And it's just a beautiful piece. I really think this would appeal to most married people, because I think there are always periods of time in marriages where things aren't as steamy and we're not going at each other as much. And this was just a really great look at that. I think it's over a period of about 6 months that this is happening. And it's been a little while since I've read it, but I still really loved it. I loved the art and all those kinds of things. Like, it's just a lot of fun. Like, she's super cute. Like, I just really love it. I highly recommend it. Another one that I talk about all the time on my channel because I ship these 2 so hard is Sweat and Soap. So Sweat and Soap is a series about 2 working adults working at the same company. It's called Leela Drop. It's kind of like a Bath and Body Works kind of place, I guess is the easiest way to kind of describe what it is. It's a place that does body washes and soaps and all those kinds of things. And our main character, Asako has always been self-conscious of her smell and her BO. She was teased a lot as a kid, and she sweat a lot as a kid. And so she's always been extra self-conscious about it. And when she's nervous, obviously she sweats more, because most of us do. One day she's looking at a display, really happy, smiling, and a guy from product development walks by, and he sniffs her, and he likes what he smells. So he comes up and starts a conversation with her. And during the conversation, he says, can I come and smell you every day? And things kind of go from there. Yes, there is a little bit of a smelling fetish thing in here, but I promise it's not as like weird as it sounds. This is actually a really sweet relationship between two working adults at the same company, and I love it with my whole heart and soul. Volume 4 is coming out soon. It's still ongoing. I think there's 7 or 8 volumes out in Japan so far, but I love this. I love this so much, and I will recommend it forever and ever. All right, now we have Something's Wrong With Us. Something is Wrong With Us is a story about two people who knew each other as children. And something very tragic happens and they're separated. 10 years later, well, not 10 years, it's probably more like 15 years later, now the girl ends up coming back into his circle of influence, Tsubaki. She recognizes him, but it doesn't seem that he recognizes her. And she's all about getting revenge on Tsubaki and his family for the tragedy that happened earlier in the series. Like, the reason why she had to leave. I'm not going to spoil that for you, so you can go and explore that on your own. This is messy. It's dark. For my darker romance lovers, this is definitely going to be more your speed. This isn't going to be a fluffy, happy romance like Sweat and Soap. Like, this one is going to be more of my darker romance lovers friend. And I absolutely adore this. Volume 3 is coming out soon, I think next week. So that'll be coming out soon. I'm not 100% sure how many will be in the series total, but yes. So highly recommend. Next is one of my favorites of all time, and that is Perfect World. Now, this one is told from an ableist perspective, so I'm going to tell you that right up front because this won't necessarily get along with everybody. But throughout the story, Sumugi learns how ableist she's been and how she's acting. And the behavior is corrected throughout the course of the series. I'm going to tell you that right up front. So this is a 9-volume, maybe 10-volume series in total. Physically, only the first 2 are out. But if you wanted to collect it digitally, it is all available that way. I'm going to have a video about how I get my manga cheaply later. So we'll talk about that. But Perfect World is about two people who knew each other in high school getting reacquainted as adults through their work. And he has since been in, I believe it was a car accident, and is now paralyzed. And it's about how his life has changed. They do not glamorize what has happened to him. In this first volume even, he is hospitalized. So they don't glamorize it. They're pretty open with it. And I appreciate this story for that. And it's about them figuring out their relationship, whether it should be romantic, whether they should remain friends. You see them go back and forth and really analyze the situation before they, make finalizing kind of decisions, I guess you could say. But it's fantastic. I love it with so much of me. And I think this is one where I would give it at least 3 volumes before you really give up on it, because I feel like even between volumes 1 and 2, you see now change a lot and make changes and make sacrifices herself. And I think it will change your perspective if you just read this first volume. So that's why I tell you there's ableism right up front, so that you can go in prepared for that. All right, let's do another office romance. And this is My Senpai is Annoying. So this is about... it's a little bit of an age gap. It's an older man, younger woman kind of situation, but she's 21 and she works directly beneath him at work. And so they work together a lot on projects, and it's like a rom-com of their relationship. This one is slightly colored, which makes it a little bit different than other manga, but I absolutely adore this. This is so funny. So if you're looking for more of that rom-com kind of feel, this one's going to be more up your alley. Another really sweet one that I think a lot of people will relate to is My Androgynous Boyfriend. This one has 2 volumes out so far. The 3rd one is coming out in Japan next month. So we won't get it for a year, I think, typically. So we're following a woman named Wako. She's here on the back. She's beautiful. Wako is madly in love with her boyfriend, Meguru. And Meguru gives off all the Park Jimin vibes for days. And anyways, he is a model. He works at a clothing store. He's beautiful. He gets mistaken for a woman all the time because he's so beautiful. And it's about their relationship, them being madly in love and them navigating life. And it's beautiful. I love this so much. It is so sweet. My favorite panel that just kind of sums up the series is in this volume. So I'm going to show you. So right there, this embodies Meguru so much. he's just like, I'll cut the carrots into little hearts for the hot pot tonight. Like, they're just adorable. I love them so much. You need to try this one. All right, the next one is Night of the Ice. So those of you who like, you know, more sports-centered kind of stories would probably get along with this one. In this one, we have a woman named Chitose, and Chitose is really good friends with a professional figure skater, and his name is Kokoro. And he cannot land his quad jumps without her casting the spell from his favorite magical girl anime, and I love this so much. And this is essentially a blooming relationship between Kokoro and Chitose, and it's beautiful. It's so cute. The first 3 volumes are out of this one. I think volume 4 is coming out next month. Don't quote me. But I absolutely love this series with so much of my being. It is so cute. The art is adorable. I mean, look at the back there. It's just so cute. I love this so much. Read it, please. And then last but not least is one of my all-time favorites. And that is A Bride Story. This is one of the most beautiful manga I've ever read. This is a historical piece taking place in Turkestan, and I believe it's like, I can't remember if it's the early 1800s or early 1900s. I don't remember for sure. But essentially, this is about this beautiful woman on the cover. She's 20, being sent into her arranged marriage, and the young man happens to be 12. So that's the primary story we're following. We follow a lot of other stories throughout the course of the series, but in this one, like, they have not engaged in anything other than a little bit of like kissing, and then they sleep in the same bed. There's not been anything sexual between the two of them, and we're 12 volumes in at this point. So you don't have to worry about anything like super icky that way. They're really sweet. He knows he has to prove himself as a man to her before they ever go there. But at this time in their piece of history, everything was legal and binding, and yes. So thankfully they haven't been doing that, because that would be weird, but she tries to mother him, and he knows that he needs to snap her out of that, and he needs to grow up some. So it's really cute. I love it. And all of the other like relationships and marriages that we follow are really sweet, and I really love them. So highly recommend this series as a whole. So friends, there's a ton of manga recommendations for you if you're looking for some romance featured manga. And again, I believe all of these are geared towards adult. The only one that might technically, I think that some people might think is not geared towards adults is Night of the Ice, but it's still adults, so I don't know. Anyways, it's all adults in the series that we're dealing with the exception of this one. So thank you guys so much for watching this video. Please let me know if you've read any of these or if you want to read any of these. I hope you enjoyed these recommendations. I plan on doing some things like this in future where I recommend things for like a certain group of people, and yes, so if you have questions ever about manga, please just DM me on Twitter. I will respond as best I can to them, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.